Do you ever race in the front door, stomach growling, starving after a long day of school, sports, and everything else you have going on? Head straight to the kitchen, expecting some delectable aroma of perhaps your favorite pasta dish or even enchiladas. Then, to your utter dismay, you find dinner hasn't been started, and you start holding your empty stomach like you haven't eaten in decades and cry out in agony. Mom, what's for dinner? I'm starving. Or, if you come home from school with a long list of 15 required science supplies, and you tell your mom, Mom, I need these materials by tomorrow morning. Thanks. Then off she goes to the nearest Walgreens or Michael's to fulfill your needs. I'm guessing some of you in this room can relate. It is no secret that we are blessed, downright lucky, to live where we do, have families who care so much, go to such a special school, have endless opportunities, and yes, a hot meal on the table. Maybe not right when we get home, but before we collapse. What did we do? What did I do to get so lucky? In my case, it's how hard my parents worked to provide for me and my sister, and how hard their parents worked to provide for them. I don't just mean earn money, but provide family time and emotional support, sacrificing so much to make me and Emma their priority. Do you ever think, how am I going to live up to the work ethic, kindness, and success of my parents? Have you ever wondered, what have I done to be worthy of this? And what do I need to do every day to make sure I make the most of everything I've been provided and every sacrifice that's been made on my behalf? Hi, my name is Maxwell Sloat, and the good fortune I was born into makes me afraid of not living up to my blessings. I feel immense pressure to make my parents, family, coaches, and teachers proud. Even my sister, who gives up her time to travel for my sports. This fear of failure drives me in good ways, but also constantly tightens a knot in my stomach, a knot that can be crippling. It doesn't matter who you are. You've gotten a bad grade, lost a competition, played poorly in a game, or failed at something. With failure often comes feelings of regret, anger, regret, sadness, and the feeling of disappointing your loved ones. I want to avoid those feelings at all costs, and sometimes it makes it hard to take risks or do anything. I have big shoes to fill. My grandfather played football at the University of Pittsburgh and was inducted into the Pitt Hall of Fame. My uncle was man of the year at his high school and played Division I football at the Air Force Academy. My other grandfather wrestled and rode crew at MIT. My dad paid his way through college and got his MBA at Stanford, and my mom started her own flower business and is the fittest, most self-disciplined person I know. I am always thinking of ways to make a difference and be the best I can be at everything I do, but I'm also trying to grow into those big shoes. My family would never make me feel bad and doesn't put the pressure on me, but I can't help but think about making them proud of all the amazing things they've done for me aren't wasted. I feel the burden of paying them back in some way to balance out their sacrifices with my accomplishments. In the passage that Owen read for us, Jesus tells us about a man who gives his inheritance early to one of his sons. The son goes out with the money and spends it all and becomes broke, while his responsible brother stays home and helps their dad. In the end, the irresponsible son goes back to his father, asking to become one of his servants because he is poor and starving. He tells his father he is not worthy of being called his son, humbled by his failure to live up to his father's expectations. Instead, his father welcomes him back as a son and throws him a huge party. Jesus uses this example of a forgiving father's unconditional love to show us what God is like. The parable works because many of us have experienced that our parents love us and are proud of us no matter what. Even if you thought you failed them and have not pleased them, they'll always be proud of you. This past fall, I traveled with both of my parents all the way to New York for a lacrosse tournament. It was pouring down rain and freezing cold as my parents sat on the sidelines watching me underperform in every single one of my games. I left the games crying, worried I would be cut from the team. I expected my parents would be disappointed that I did not play to my full effort and potential because of the amount of money, time, and effort spent on a tournament. But instead, they wrapped their arms around me, told me they loved me, and helped me see how to play better the next tournament. I knew they offered me the advice so I could be proud of myself because win or lose, success or failure, my parents' love is constant. The parable of the prodigal son reminds us that God doesn't only love the great athletes and the responsible people. Just like parents don't love kids because of their achievements, or only if they never make a mistake. Our mistakes, failures, and losses show our parents how much we need their love. and create opportunities for those big, comforting hugs, as well as to learn important lessons. If suddenly I couldn't play lacrosse anymore, or something happened to me that made me a worse student, deep down, I know my parents would love me just as much as they do now. This summer, I'm spending 3 weeks and 6 weekends straight playing lacrosse on the East Coast. My parents will take turns being right by my side to support me. I'm nervous because I want to make it worth their time, energy, and money. I take this seriously because I don't want to waste my family's summer and their rare free time. But in spite of this burden I've put on myself, I know that no matter how I perform, my parents will be there to support me my whole entire life. If I lose and disappoint myself, I won't ruin my parents' summer, because they find joy seeing me do what I love to do. They always say, "Max, I have so much fun watching you play out there, and I'm so proud of you." Now that's love. In fact, maybe instead of trying to deserve all this unconditional love from my parents and family, the real way I can balance out the sacrifices they've made for me is to return that love. To be a generous, understanding, and supportive son, brother, and grandson. And maybe one day, I'll know how to be a great dad too. Thank you.